radio. There were also queer rifles. Lord knows how many people have wondered what the extraterrestrial equivalent of common human devices would look like. Well, here were some answers. A few of the instruments even had dials with pointers, and the numeral 1 used on them was a vertical bar, almost like our own. But 0 was a plus sign, and they counted by 12s, not 10s. But all these parallels with our own culture seemed cancelled by the fact that even when this ship was in its original undamaged state, no man could have gotten inside it. The difficulty was less a matter of human size than of shape and physical behavior. The craft seemed to have been circular, with compartmentation in spiral form, like a chambered nautilus. This complete divergence from things we knew sent frost imps racing up and down my spine, and it prompted Blaine to say, "I suppose that emotions, drives, and purposes among off-Earth intelligences must be utterly inconceivable to us." We were assembled in the big trailer that had been brought out for us to live in, while we made a preliminary survey of the wreck. "Only about halfway, Blaine," Miller answered. "Granting that the life chemistry of those intelligences is the same as ours, the need for food creates the drive of hunger. Awareness of death is balanced by the urge to avoid it. There you have fear and combativeness. And is it so hard to tack on the drives of curiosity, invention, and ambition? Especially when you know that these beings made a spaceship. Cast an intelligence in any outward form, anywhere, it ought to come out much the same. Still, there are bound to be wide differences of detail, with wide variations of viewpoint. They could be horrible to us, and most likely it's mutual." I felt that Miller was right. The duplication of a human race on other worlds by another chain of evolution was highly improbable, and to suppose that we might get along with other entities on a human basis seemed pitifully naive. With all our scientific thoroughness, when it came to examining, photographing, and recording everything in the wreck, there was no better evidence of the clumsy way we were investigating unknown things than the fact that at first we neglected our supreme find almost entirely. It was a round lump of dried red mud, the size of a soft baseball. When Craig finally did get around to X-raying it, indications of a less dense interior and feathery markings suggesting a soft bone structure showed up on the plate. Not entirely sure that it was the right thing to do, he opened the shell carefully. Think of an artichoke, but not a vegetable. Dusky pink, with thin, translucent mouth flaps moving feebly. The blood in the tiny arteries was very red, rich in hemoglobin for a rare atmosphere. As a youngster, I had once opened a chicken egg when it was 10 days short of hatching. The memory came back now. "It looks like a growing embryo of some kind," Klein stated. "Close the lump again, Craig," Miller ordered softly. The biologist obeyed. "A highly intelligent race of beings wouldn't encase their developing young in mud, would they?" Klein almost whispered. "You're judging by a human aesthetic standard," Craig offered. "Actually, mud can be as sterile as the cleanest surgical gauze." The discussion was developing unspoken and shadowy ramifications. The thing in the dusty red lump, whether the young of a dominant species or merely a lower animal, had been born, hatched, started in life probably during the weeks or months of a vast space journey. Nobody would know anything about its true nature until and if it manifested itself, and we had no idea of what that manifestation might be. The creature might emerge an infant or an adult, friendly or malevolent or even deadly. Blaine shrugged. Something scared and half-savage showed in his face. "What'll we do with the thing?" he asked. "Keep it safe and see what happens. Yet it might be best to get rid of it fast, with chloroform, cyanide, or the back of a shovel." Miller's smile was very gentle. "Could be you're right, Blaine." I'd never known Miller to pull rank on any of the bunch. Only deliberate thought would remind us that he was a colonel. But he wasn't really a military man. He was a scientist whom the Army had called in to keep